James, not to sound like a broken record here, but let's get a storm update from you. This is Monday morning, 11:50 a.m. Irma is now a tropical storm. You look like you've been through a
Yep.
storm yourself a little bit. Did you sleep last night at all?
Not really. I got about 3 hours of sleep this morning after my 10-year-old finally woke up and said, "Dad, go get me something." Yeah, it's been a long night. We're holding up though. Fortunately, you look out the window, you see some leaves and branches down, but we never lost power, even though I think like close to 5 million people in the state of Florida did. Thank goodness for underground power lines here, and yeah, it was no problem. So thank goodness, and everyone's safe.
Somebody who has a lot of Florida players on his roster is joining us right now. We were looking down this a little bit earlier. Let's bring in head coach of Catholic University after a 16-10 win against Utica, Mike Gutelius. Coach, first things first, congratulations on the win Saturday. How'd it feel good to get the first one under your belt, as this is your freshman campaign with Catholic, at least, right now as head coach?
Yeah, it definitely felt pretty good. It was there was a lot of relief too. You kind of want to get the win and then move on. There's a long season to go, but it was pretty special. My dad was able to be there. He's 86. I had a couple brothers there, and the folks here at Catholic did a great job taking care of them. So for to have it all come together with a win was pretty special. And the players probably were the best part, because they were so excited about not only the win, but like doing it together and the way we did it. It was a close game. Utica was a tough opponent. The way it came together as everything sort of fell into place. So it made it a really special weekend.
You spotted, Utica spotted your team 16-0 in the first half, essentially, and then tried to claw their way back. They ended up leading in the yardage column, I think, by about 100 yards at the end of the day. Tell me about what was going on the sideline, especially in that second half, to hold off Utica, who we know has a very potent offense. That's been kind of one of their things with the receiving core that they have and their quarterbacks over time. You were able to contain them for, I think, 0 touchdowns passing and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I think, we had a really good defensive game plan. Coach Bachman, our associate head coach, defensive coordinator, did a great job, planning for what they do. And then they're a physical team. So offensively in the second half, they made some adjustments to stop what we were doing. But our offense did some really good things, chewing up a lot of the clock. We had the lead. We were able to hold it. But in the end, the takeaways were the difference. In the end, being able to get those balls back before they were scored. We had a fumble recovery right on the goal line. They were about to go in to score a touchdown. And gosh, it was scary. But we knocked the ball out and recovered it. It's something that we stress all the time. Those are the things that can change games. And in the end, I think the turnover battle was the difference.
Bend but don't break kind of attitude there for their defense, especially there, James. I know you have some questions, but we are in the huddle with Catholic head coach Mike Gutelius.
That's right. And Coach Mike and I actually spoke about a month ago for the D3Football.com kickoff preview. And he's a Catholic grad. I won't say the year, because we don't want to date us or anything. But coaching for the alma mater. But talking about some of these young players, your quarterback Alejandro Rose had he's only a sophomore. He got called into duty early on his freshman season. He made a couple of big plays for you in the game, which ultimately ended up being the difference. Tell us a little bit about what you saw with your young quarterback there.
Yeah, he's the best thing about Alex is that he's got that special something that that he's the kid that you'd want on your team if you were picking teams on the playground. He's the guy that you want to do those plays. Right now, is he the best passer? No. Is he the best runner? No. But is he the best guy to run that huddle? Absolutely. And that's that's what he's got. He's got that extra something. So he's fun to watch. He'll drive you crazy sometimes, because you're like, don't take that shot, and he'll try and get the first down, and they'll put a lick on him. So that's scary, but he's not going to back down from anybody. So fun to watch. And he's a guy that's from South Florida. So he had a lot of concern going into Saturday about family and friends. So that was, it was with enough guys on the team worrying about their families. It was an added layer to the whole weekend.
How many guys do you have on your roster, Coach, that are from South Florida?
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number, but it's about 10 on the roster. So,
yeah, I saw some Berlin Jesuit folks, so obviously good recruiting base. But we send our thoughts out to the players that have their families affected by this. Obviously, James himself is in the Orlando Winter Park area, so he's a little bit north. But look, the eye still came in that direction for a little bit last night. So everybody in the state of Florida was affected by this one, no doubt. But let's look ahead a little bit here in terms of what you've got coming up next, and it's an old ODAC foe basically for Catholic. Randolph-Macon is coming up here. It's kind of funny. We talk about D3Football.com, and we've got Pat Coleman, who's an old Catholic guy, and we got Keith McMillan, who's an old Randolph-Macon guy, and so we've kind of got an internal battle going on. We're not D3Football.com, but we work for them on occasion. We always kind of look at this game for bragging rights in the D3Football.com end of the world. Tell us about this foe coming up and what you expect to see and what you're doing to get ready for it.
It's a quality football program. They're a class act. It's great competition every time. Even going back to when I was playing in the Stone Age, it was always a great rivalry there. It's an hour and a half away. We bump into them on the recruiting trails. We bump into them in a lot of their sports. But they're going to be tough. They're going to be good at running the ball. They're going to have a strong, stout defense that's going to challenge you. So, it's a great football game. It's what college football is all about, is these kind of games. And we're excited to play them. The best part is they're going to play it the right way, and it's going to be two teams getting after it. And I hope we have a good showing.
We are in the huddle with head coach Mike Gutelius of Catholic University of America. And James, I was looking at his background a little earlier, and I've got a question. Usually you're the background question guy, but this one I'm going to take on if I can.
I didn't sleep much last night, Frank, so you got to carry this one.
Did you not sleep because you knew I was going to come up with the background question, perhaps? Because that's always scary. But you spent 7 seasons at Lindsey Wilson. I believe you restarted that program from what I'm reading. Tell us about kind of starting a program from scratch again, because I think it was about a 75-year pause of some sort, or maybe I'm reading that wrong, but kind of go into that. And then what led you to go back to Catholic after all that? It sounds like things were going pretty decently, at least at Lindsey Wilson, for you, especially with the restart.
Yeah, it was it was a once in a lifetime experience. I was the assistant head coach, defense coordinator there. So, obviously chance to be a head coach at my alma mater was really the drawback to Catholic, but to start football from scratch at Lindsey Wilson was an amazing experience. It's a great school, but they've always had tremendously competitive athletics. They hadn't had football since sort of a club team in the 30s. And when they made the decision to start the program, they really did it right. They took their time. They built a beautiful facility. They let us go out and recruit. And the way we did it, I think, is the right way to do it. We went with all freshmen. So I think we had one transfer that played in the first year that we played, but everybody else was freshmen. So it was, from a coaching angle, there was a lot of frustration. We were, teaching guys from scratch about college football, and we were overmatched in most games. But the one thing we had was guys that wanted to be good, and we had an administration that wanted to be good in the right way. So it was fun to start from scratch. But little things like them, they built the stadium, and in the drawings for the stadium, they didn't even have a film tower. They didn't understand you needed a tower to film from. And so you had to cross all kinds of bridges of just an education process. They want to give some little security cameras to film the games. Like, that's not going to work.
You're not the Patriots, right?
Right. Yeah, no, it was fun to do it from scratch, but I don't think I'd ever want to do it again. I really don't. Yeah.
Right. Well, congratulations on getting to Catholic, and again, congratulations to the win, James. Not to cut off your fire here, because I know you got more where that came from.
No, that was a great story. I was like, it sounds a little Belichickian there with the spy cameras.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Coach, obviously your focus is on Randolph-Macon, but couple weeks in now. You probably read some of the scores that are out there. What you got NewMac play in about a week or so.
Yeah.
Any early impressions, surprises, or is it just we're Randolph-Macon all the way?
We're definitely Randolph-Macon all the way. I just stressed to the guys we got to go 1-0 this week. Nothing else. We got one game this week, and that's the only one that matters. And really, it's a struggle to not look down the stretch a little bit because there are some opponents that we haven't played previously. So you want to start the score comparison game, and that's not good. It's much better to just stay on the game that we got coming up, stick with doing what this week to be successful, and then we'll cross that bridge when it's time. We'll get to Saturday, we'll play the game, and then we'll switch gears. But right now, sticking with the Belichick theme, we're on to Randolph-Macon. So
sounds good. We don't want to hold you up from that prep work. I know today's also 9/11, so I'm sure there's a lot of events going on around and on campus as well. I've got to actually get myself ready for an event on my end of the world here in upstate New York today. So we want to send our thoughts out to everybody on that note as well. There's a lot going on today, and it's not a lot of good overtones to it, but at least we have people. It didn't look like much carnage occurred, at least with fatalities in Florida. And obviously, we're kind of 16 years later looking at the fact of bouncing back as a country here and staying so. So you got to take the silver lining, and maybe that. I guess that's what coaching. Your coaches try to teach all the time. Take that silver lining wherever you can. So, Coach, we want to thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate the chance to talk to you guys.
And keep up the good work over there because, Pat Coleman's sad when he doesn't get to talk about Catholic on D3Football.com. You've given him an excuse again here.
Well, I hope he has a lot to talk about on the good side.
Amen right there. And James, as we say goodbye to him, we want to remind folks that Crunch Time will be posted as well today, and our audio version of the podcast later on in the week. Predictions coming on Tuesday or Wednesday as well, and we will predict probably that Randolph-Macon Catholic game if I had to guess.
Yeah, one last shout out from me. Being that it is 9/11. One of my former teammates from Hobart, Andy Golkin, passed in the Twin Towers, as did the younger sister of one of my high school classmates from Avon. Her name was Amy Toyin. There's a memorial for her at the public library in my hometown. Just one of those things. I mean, we get caught up in the news about hurricanes and all this stuff, but this is not necessarily a national holiday, but it's one that bears point of reflection in the history of our country. I always think about Andy and Amy on days like on today. So just sending one up there, and anyone else who may have lost a loved one on this day, hopefully you have a little chance to reflect and remember them. And so hope everyone has a good 9/11, and let's leave it at that.
Let's do so. We'll talk to you soon, folks. Thanks.